Good morning from Wroclaw. It is your UEFA Conference League final preview with me, IC Sport UK. So let's get straight on into it. Obviously, as you can see, supporting Chelsea. Of course I am, being the Londoner that I am. But let's talk about this game, because this is one that's going to get really interesting, and there's a few different opinions. Now, the opinion largely from what I've seen online is that Chelsea are expected to win this game, and when you look at the size of the two clubs and Chelsea's history in European competitions, yes, fine, Chelsea are very much the favourites. But you've got to think of it from the other point of view as well, which is this is a 90-minute match of football. You know, and let's be completely honest, you think about Tottenham in their final last week, their record in finals is horrendous. All of a sudden they go and beat Man United 1-0. That was more because both teams were terrible than anything in particular. It was one of the most awful games of football I've ever seen, but we move on. You've got to think about it as a one-off. Right from the start of the tournament, I was looking at the routes that we could go and the teams that we could play against. And when it got to the round of 16, that's when I wanted Real Betis, because I think over two games, we definitely beat them. I think in the one, there's always that chance that something goes wrong, doesn't go in your favour, and you're trying to play catch-up. Now, with that being said, the two main players that everyone from Real Betis is talking about is Antony, who's on some sort of resurgence at the moment, and Isco. They also did have Fekir, but I found out yesterday that he moved to Saudi in January or wherever he went. Either way, not a problem for us. So he's a good footballer. I was worried about him, but now we've only got to worry about two. Now, Isco is dominating midfield. He really is dominating midfield. But you also need to realise as well where Betis finished in La Liga, and also who he's coming up against. Because no disrespect to La Liga, there's about 6 or 7 teams that are really good that you'd go, yeah, that everyone there will give you a good game of football. Teams like Seville, Atletico Madrid, obviously Real and Barca, handful of others as well. But those sort of teams, again, you only play them 5-6 times a season sort of thing, you know, and they've really picked up form in the back end of the year. So I think one of the big things that we do need to sort of consider is, yes, that they're doing very well, Real Betis, but they're also scoring goals in late situations. Now, if you look at what Chelsea did on the weekend against Nottingham Forest's way of playing is more likely to break down Chelsea than Real Betis is if it comes into that sort of last minute sort of go gung-ho approach. Essentially what Real Betis is, they're relying on that moment of magic. Now, they've definitely got it in them with Isco and Antony and other people as well, but I think if you were sort of trying to predict the game of how it goes, I feel like the approach from Chelsea, obviously you've got to score goals. If you score 2, I think you've then got something to defend, and I think that's something that could very easily sort of turn into, not a non-event towards the end of the game, but I think the situation might, you know, it might catch up with certain players. You know, with all due respect to Betis, they've got some good players. Off the bench is a little bit 50-50. I mean, that's Chelsea, to be fair, as well, you know. I know Nkunku's travelled out here, but no Lavia in the squad because he hasn't played in the whole tournament, so he would have been one of the strongest suits. Then you're looking off the bench as well. You're thinking likelihood is that probably Jackson will play up front. Off the bench, you've then got Gurhi, who is only 18. I never pronounced his name right either, so apologies for that one. He's 18, 19 from Barcelona. He's a good footballer. I actually do really like him, but this is the European Cup final. When you start thinking about potentially Nkunku up front, that's not necessarily the same. Does he then turn around and go into number 10? That replaces Palmer. But Lavia not being in midfield is a big one, because if for whatever reason, and God forbid it doesn't happen, if for whatever reason Enzo Fernandez or Caicedo picks up an injury or gets cramp or is getting shut out of the game, you know, you have to try and change that, and there's not a great deal to come off the bench for Chelsea in that central midfield role. Now, I think Chelsea's midfield is very good, and Caicedo, Enzo, and then Palmer ahead is fantastic. It's the wide areas that I do sort of worry about. You know, will it be Jadon Sancho? Will it be Pedro Neto? Will it be Madueke? The best one of all of them, I think, I have to say. Unfortunately, he's better coming off the bench, but Tyreek George, he's been playing this sort of weird role at the moment where he's sort of up front because we have to have him up front because we haven't got Jackson. He's been replacing Jackson towards the end of games as well, when Jackson was coming back from his injury, playing up front. I don't necessarily know what wing he's better on as well, which is the case for probably Pedro Neto, Sancho and Madueke. It's not how it used to be 2012, 2013, 14, all that. We had like Mata, Hazard, Oscar, Schürrle, Cuadrado, where all of them could end up on any side and it was all looking great regardless. I think Chelsea need something a bit more sort of regimented, especially when the fullbacks are coming in. This is one thing I will say about sort of Betis' attacking options, is Cucurella one-on-one will deal with Antony, in my opinion. I do think that's the case. However, Cucurella is someone who is obviously then moved forward into that sort of CDM role and comes inside, which does then leave space for Antony. So I'm not going to turn around and say, yeah, Cucurella's going to deal with him straight in and, you know, he's going to be absolutely battering Antony all day long, because that's not going to happen. You know, Antony will get an opportunity in this game. It just depends on him, and, you know, I hate to say it, obviously we're going to find out later on. His personality sort of shows that he wants to be the star of the show. Now, when you're playing for Betis in the league, it's quite easily done. If you're then going and playing a Champions League final, a Conference League final, European Cup final, you know, where the whole eyes of Europe, because it's the only game of football on tonight at this time, the whole of Europe will be watching this game. That is a massive opportunity for anyone. Whether Antony goes and does the things that he's been doing in the last couple of months, that's going to be a problem for Chelsea. If he does what he was doing before and trying to be the star without necessarily getting the end product, then Chelsea might be in a bit of trouble. Betis will be in a bit of trouble, because I think, again, those two key areas, especially in midfield and out wide, you know, that's the areas where you could potentially win this game for Betis. In terms of a Chelsea point of view, Cole Palmer needs to have a big game. He has to have a big game. Likelihood is, again, Jackson will start up front. How would that be after, obviously, the last 2 games, 3 games, whatever it's been, with him being suspended? Will he be out sharp? Will he be ready to go? All these things you're sort of seeing behind the scenes, you don't know. It's quite difficult to say. One thing we do know for a fact is going to be Jorgensen starting in goal, if the reports are to be believed, which, bear in mind, it's coming from Maresca. Pretty good report. Jorgensen will play in goal, which means that then the playing out for the back system for Chelsea, because Jorgensen is not as good with his feet as Sanchez is, but then Sanchez does leave a little bit to be desired in terms of playing out from the back and being the footballer we needed to be. The goalkeeper we needed to be is not too bad, but the footballer at the back is a lot of question marks, and definitely Betis to be looking at this. Can they press high? Can they move up the pitch early doors? And can they go and cause problems for Chelsea? You know, as much as they've been winning games like 3-2 and 4-3, I've seen all of their comebacks in this Conference League sort of knockout phase, and they've had some good results, but they've come from behind and won games that they maybe shouldn't have, and, you know, they haven't necessarily started that well, and it moves on. If they can go and start well, they can probably keep on causing Chelsea a lot of problems throughout this game. I was seeing, I think it was BT Sport were doing all the previews from the pundits saying about what they think the score's going to be, and a lot of them are saying like Chelsea by 2 goals, and I do think that's a possibility. I do. It just depends on what sort of team comes out from our point of view. If we dominate the midfield battle, for me, I think Chelsea have won this game. I do think it is that clear cut. I mean, Chelsea have found ways to score without having the centre forward, and I know Jackson's not necessarily the out and out striker that a lot of Chelsea fans want, but he definitely does make the team better, and that's a really, really big factor. So I'm really looking forward to this game, and I mean, obviously this is, for me as a Chelsea fan, this is great. I'm out here with my dad and a load of my mates as well, all from Hemel Hempstead, that have all travelled here. We've had a long old trip. We came via Amsterdam on Monday morning, and then we got an 11-hour train yesterday down to Wroclaw. So we've been sort of through the wars essentially to get here, but again, we're here, we're making the most of it. It's my first ever European Cup final, especially supporting a team as well, and it's one I'm going to go out and enjoy regardless of the result. But I think it's one that Chelsea are expected to win, and I think it's one that we probably will. But anyone who thinks this will be a walk in the park is going to be very much mistaken. If you get the Betis side that we know we can get, they will cause problems. I mean, this is a team that correct me if I'm wrong, comment section, but pretty sure they beat Real Madrid about 2 months ago, something like that. It's no easy feat. Yes, fine, that's 90 minutes of football, but so is this. you know, you don't know what's going to happen, and Betis and Madrid are very much on different levels, but again, they've done it once. Can they go and do it again, you know, and beat a team of that next sort of calibre up, one of, let's be honest, European elite? And this is very important for Chelsea in terms of what we want to do. We want to be the first club to win everything, including the Conference League. We can be the first club to say we've won it all, and that will stay in the history books for a long time. That means a lot to Chelsea fans, especially the old school ones that have sort of grown up with not a lot, you know, and now to say that they were there in Division 2 watching Chelsea years ago and all these things, to now be here in Wroclaw in Poland with an opportunity to be the first team in history to complete the set is not bad for supposedly a team with no history, as they've dealt with for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it is. But either way, we're going to enjoy it. We're going to make the most of it. My score prediction, although I don't like to do them, my score prediction is going to be a 2-0 Chelsea win. I do think that it's possible. But I think, again, the opportunity of Betis scoring is going to be very, very high. I do think they've got the ability to do it, and Chelsea are not brilliant at the back in terms of keeping clean sheets and all that sort of stuff. You know, towards the end of the game, seeing it out, I think they'll be fine, but open stages of the game, there's an expectation on Chelsea to go and score and go and win this game. So they've got to go and do it, which means they have to come out, and it is going to leave opportunities for Real Betis to go and strike. But either way, that's going to be it from me. I'm going to go over to the fan zone and see what's going on over there. The vlog is going to be out not straight after the game. It's going to be out tomorrow evening. So yeah, Thursday evening that'll be out, because I'm on the train again on my way back, so I can edit all the stuff there. So please do make sure you give that a watch. We're going to try and get to the fan zones as well. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know, because we've obviously only got a ticket for one team. I'm going to try and get in the other one, see if I can get away with that, but only time will tell. Either way, thank you for watching. There'll be videos returning to the channel very, very soon. I will keep you all in the loop. So if you are new around here, please do make sure you subscribe. There's flyers all over the place, which is definitely a reason why I'm going. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Come on the Chelsea. Score prediction 2-0. Make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you for the vlog. Up the Chelsea, come on.